Matthew Novelli doesn't remember being a sick kid, but when one of his many doctors saw that it was his kidneys, the doctor recommended that his family go to Galveston, where Matt ultimately got his first kidney transplant. Unfortunately, there were complications in the OR.
But I went on dialysis for a little bit. I can't remember which one it was. And then I got my second kidney transplant a month before my third birthday. So I was still two, from a deceased donor. And that lasted till 2020. No, I'm sorry. 2002. Yeah, 2002. So right about 20 years or 20 years. Went on dialysis. I had the chest cath, and I had that for a couple years. I know you're only supposed to have it temporarily, or they recommend temporarily having that option, but the fistula didn't take, and I believe they did like two surgeries. So, anyways, we just kept that, and it worked. Went on dialysis for a couple years. And then in 2004, got my third transplant from a deceased donor as well, and had that all the way up until about 3 years ago or so. If I'm sure you're aware that through decline of an organ, it's a long process. It's not just overnight. So my that kidney, for the most part, had lasted about 15 years, or so, 15, 16 years. Again, went on dialysis. That started with the chest cath, then had fistula surgery, and that required two surgeries because it's a process, it's a two-step process, but it actually took, was on dialysis for over 2 years. And then my last transplant, which is a fourth transplant, was in February, this past February, so February 2024. And as a matter of fact, my wife donated. She's not a match, so we did a kidney swap, where she donated to somebody else, and I received one from another donor from out of state. We were made aware of this when I was already on the deceased donor list, and we kind of started asking questions about it, and they, had explained that through this process, it would actually speed up the wait time, and it would be a living donor, which my understanding is that a living donor is a better donor.
Matthew went on through his OPO to reach his donor.
I had, I think, like a month or so out, talked to my donor team, the donor coordinator, and asked, what if I would like, if I could write a letter, send a letter to them. And they said, yeah, just email me a letter. And so I had sent a letter over, and I actually got a letter back like 2 or 3 weeks later. And it was really, yeah, it was really cool. And and that was it, and that's fine. I'm not trying to press it any more than that. If And I totally get why they wouldn't want it. Well, first of all, they wouldn't want to pressure anybody into communicating, if because it's a pretty personal deal to donate, especially to somebody you don't know. And if you have this pressure on you, I could just imagine, to that you have to be best friends, or you have to communicate with that person, even though they're not in the same state. You've never met this person. I mean, maybe somebody just wants to donate, what's the word, altruistically or whatever. They just want to
Yeah.
do it just to be nice, and that's totally cool. I think that's some of the best ways that you can do a good thing, is do it and not want any kind of recognition. But again, we've had our communication, and that's fine, and I'm okay with a letter back and forth or whatever. So
Matthew has also experienced what he calls speed bumps pre and post transplant.
the complication of this surgery is that there's very limited room on where they could put the new kidney because of the other kidneys. And my doctor, Dr. Lim, the surgeon, he was actually brand new to St. David's. He had come over from somewhere in Colorado, I believe, And we, so met him, and at first, I don't know if I didn't really like him, but like the more we would, the thing is, he tells it like it is. He calls me on my BS, and I tend to kind of, feel sorry for myself, and I'm like, oh, this sucks or whatever. And he's like, so do you want to do the transplant or not? And I'm like, but after it's all said and done, and well, so the surgery, he said, we did the scans on both sides. I'm gonna go in on, I forget what side. This side on the, I'm not 100% sure it's gonna work. I'm pretty sure we can get it on that, but if we can't, we'll go over to the other side. I just won't know until we go in there. So I had this kind of looming over me a little bit, is that it may or may not take or work or whatever, and they won't know until they get it. So that, I was pretty darn nervous about the surgery anyways, and then you add that to it. But right after the surgery, and I'm in the ICU and they're waking me up, I'm like, how'd it go? Or what, right away, I wanted to know how it goes. And it goes, it went great, Mr. Novelli, or something like that. And Mr. Or Dr. Lim came in, and too, in the ICU. And I said, well, how was the surgery? He goes, uneventful. And I was like, I'll take it. I mean, yeah, I'd rather uneventful than, all hands on deck or whatever. But he's a very dry sense of humor, but he's great. So
Like many parents who are also transplant recipients, Matthew's kids have grown up with their dad being in and out of the hospital too. Luckily, they take it in stride.
I mean, so here's the deal. When we went into the hospital for a few days, we had to get so we have two girls here that are now 17 and 22, but they were here with him for a few days. My wife's mom was here for a few days, and so when we went into the hospital, we basically just said, we're going to go in the hospital, we'll be back in a few days. I don't know if he really understood then. When I go for doctor's appointments or something, I'll say I got to go to the doctor. But his name is, his real name is Matthew, but we all call him Buddy. And he he had a boo boo on his knee or something. He says, I gotta go to the doctor. So he's kind of, yeah, he kind of he
Matthew likes to reach other kidney recipients and tell his story through a Facebook page he's put together. He wanted to be able to advocate for others who had kidney disease and give those that wanted to help an opportunity to volunteer.
And this organization asked me to help them with their social media stuff, and but it's volunteer it's volunteer work, which is fine. But they advocate for people with kidneys disease, people who are on the waiting list, stuff like that, people that want to donate, trying to get, information, and I think connect them and stuff like that. So, but they helped me when I first went on dialysis and stuff, because when I first went on dialysis, again, I was on social media, but I reached out to these different organizations and people and stuff in the space. It's like, and maybe I'm, because I basically communicate with people in the maybe central Texas area, but
Yeah.
it's like, and of course, maybe just because I'm on the same pages or whatever, but these same people keep popping up, and it's, that, they're doing big things over here and they're doing big things over there. So, but yeah, I like whatever that is. I think for majority of people, when an organ ends up failing, a transplanted organ, it's because the body rejects it, and the body rejects it because the body is doing what the body has done since the beginning of humans. It kills off something that's foreign to the body, whether it's a cold, a sickness, a flu, something foreign. An organ transplanted is something foreign, and the immunosuppressive medications trick the body into not doing that, and can only do that so long, and they can only change dosage of the medicines so many times until the body figures it out. So again, this is what the body has done ever since we. So the body will eventually kill this organ, and that's what has happened with my organs, transplanted organs. So I'm not over here going, yeah, next, yeah, where's my next kid? This is, and believe me, if I could just wave a wand and be able to, I would say this kidney's going to last forever, and I wouldn't have to go through this again. Because believe me, or at least that I know of, nobody wants to have a transplant, whatever the organ is. Nobody wants to go into a surgery, a major surgery, minor surgery for that matter, if they don't have to. And so, again, if I didn't have to do this again, that would be the best thing I could possibly think of. So when and again, it was that one comment that got me paranoid, thinking maybe some people think this, that I'm over here just getting organs willy nilly, and that's not the case. And I'm not trying to scare people either, saying that your organ's not going to last forever, because some people they last a long time, or they last forever, and some people they don't. It's just with my particular case, that's what happens, is that the body eventually figures it out and does what the body does. So um but again, just a little, I guess, side note. So
Still, Matt is hopeful for a brighter future for all recipients.
maybe down the road, and with how fast medicine and technology is moving, could be sooner than later, something like that could, again, the potential, the doors that could open. So it's pretty incredible that, and of course they've been working on, probably since forever and ever, is an artificial kidney, and they've had these different, like, prototypes or whatever, these different versions of it. And yeah, I've been reading about that since, probably ever since I can remember. And they're always, we've gotten this much closer, it's able to do this, and we're going to start doing this phase, this. So great if something like that could be introduced.